All right, ladies and gentlemen. So yesterday, Donald Trump had an absolute historic rally in the Bronx. There were estimates of up to 35,000 people in the vicinity that showed up. And when I say in the vicinity, what I mean is the event itself, I believe, had a capacity of 3,500. So, of course, you have a lot of mainstream media channels and news organizations that are coming out with these crowd shots from above saying, oh, this is not 35,000 people. This is not that many people. When in reality, this rally took place in a park and they could only admit a certain amount of people, of course, for security reasons. One of these people was his former NBC executive, Mike Singleton, I believe is how you say his name. And he decides it was very important to expose the truth of this conspiracy of the Trump rally. And he says, overhead shot of the Trump rally in the Bronx shows crowd size was much smaller than MAGA world is boasting about. And he shares this video, which shows the crowd a lot smaller, of course, than 35,000. But what really comes to mind here is, this is probably an old trope, and this is probably not something that anyone hasn't heard before. But if Biden pulled even a tenth of the size of this crowd in this shot right here, there would be newspapers, headlines everywhere. Massive Biden rally. And then, of course, we had Newsweek, which had to come out and set the record straight. And they said Donald Trump's crowd size under scrutiny. Wow, let's see what they say. They say CNN national correspondent Kristen Holmes told viewers that there was a bigger crowd than Democrats would like to see. And scroll down here. It says, however, X account, The Shallow State, wrote that the size of the crowd was small. Oh, very interesting. Let's take a look at The Shallow State. So if you go to the X account, The Shallow State, the first thing you will see that'll catch your eye, really, is this cover photo right here. It says, #untruth, the psychology of Trumpism and the war for democracy. So this is obviously somebody who has a major case of Trump derangement syndrome. And then this is the tweet that they wrote right here. It says, Trump's ramblings at the Bronx rally tonight were largely false. The guests that came up on stage were contrived. The people in the crowd were arranged. The size of the crowd was small. But Fox is already multiplying the truth by 10. It's a giant, poorly constructed fake out. What we're really witnessing is a malignant narcissist trying to force feed false narratives, battered, desperate to reclaim grandiosity, in decline. So I'm not really bringing this up to rag on The Shallow State, technically, really. I mean, it's kind of funny. I just find it interesting that Newsweek references this individual right here who is spouting a lot of conspiracy theories. Yes, I will use that term, conspiracy theories, about these contrived crowds, and there's a conspiracy between Fox News and Donald Trump and all these other things, and yet you have Newsweek using this as a source in their article. Very interesting, right? But prior to the rally, two of our favorite New York women, one of which you can see right here, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, yes, AOC, and the other one, can you guess? Yes, you guessed right, it's Kathy Hochul. Two insufferable people who I believe should not be in the positions that they hold. But of course, that is up to the voters to decide. But honestly, I really have no clue how they chose these two individuals to hold their respective offices. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, prior to the rally, seemed pretty upset over the fact that Donald Trump was coming to the Bronx because this is her hood, right? Because she's in fact a representative in the Bronx, and she did not take too kindly to the likes of Donald Trump encroaching on her turf.
New York City's blue, Brooklyn's blue, Brooklyn is blue, Queens is blue, the Bronx is blue, and he's got nowhere to go. And so he's decided to come to the South Bronx.
But she also went on to say that the weather showed that it was going to rain in the Bronx and that this was a sign that God did not want Donald Trump holding a rally in the Bronx. And guess what? It did not rain in the Bronx. So I wonder if she will admit that the opposite is true. Maybe it was going to rain in the Bronx. And then when God saw that Donald Trump scheduled a rally in the Bronx, he decided to hold off the rain a little bit. But I don't think we will have AOC coming on news channels and talking about the fact that she was wrong. She was wrong that, in fact, God did want Donald Trump to hold a rally in the Bronx. But also, I think it's important to point out that this is an average AOC rally in the district in which she represents. And look at how excited these people are to see her, guys. It's absolutely incredible. You know, it's almost the size of Donald Trump's rally. I mean, it's honestly, if I'm going to be honest, it's a good turnout for AOC. I'm very proud of her for that crowd. But New York Governor Kathy Hochul also came out prior to the rally, and she was so upset about what was going on in the Bronx, her state, that she did a Hillary Clinton. It was very Hillary Clinton-esque, and she called Trump supporters, I almost said deplorables. No, she didn't call them deplorables. She called them clowns. Listen.
Well, I'll tell you, it won't make a difference at all, Jake, and that is for Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx. New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president. We know him better than anyone, and that means we understand what he's all about is just for himself. So this state will go solidly behind Joe Biden for president, as it has in the past. So he wants to spend his time doing these made-up fake rallies and pretending their support here. Be my guest, because while you're doing that, Donald Trump, Joe Biden's out there on the other side, making sure he's delivering for all Americans. And so go ahead, spend all your time you want in New York, because we'll be with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's out there winning over the rest of the battleground states.
Now, I don't know if Kathy Hochul has seen the most recent news, but Joe Biden actually disagrees with her. Joe Biden believes that Donald Trump should be reelected. Listen, in his own words, this is not me saying it. This is our president, Joe Biden. Listen.
And turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
We cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump. I don't think it gets any clearer than that, Kathy Hochul. So you might want to check with your guy and see if your facts are up to date. But I think the best response to AOC and Kathy Hochul is a Bronx resident himself and a good friend of mine, Lou Valentino. He went on the Benny Show today. He's doing big things. He's going out there. He's registering people to vote. He's going on Fox News. He's spreading the word. I mean, this guy is doing all this legwork, and honestly, nothing but respect to the guy. But he responded to Kathy Hochul, and I think this was probably the greatest slam to Kathy Hochul I've ever seen.
So after, and I didn't get to see everything till like after I got home, and I saw Kathy Hochul say that, man, I can't lie, my blood was boiling, man. I was like, did she just call all the residents of New York? Because there was, residents from Jersey, New York, maybe out of state, but there was a lot of Bronx, residents that came out there that really wanted to see Trump, and she just called us clowns. So another L, another loss. Last time she said black kids don't know what a computer is. Oh boy, it's the Kathy Hochul is taking L's, and I think that we should really bring light to that, because that is insane to call New Yorkers clown like that. It's crazy.
And of course, he's right. This is a tactic that the Democrats have historically used against supporters for Donald Trump. Of course, Hillary did it. She called us a basket of deplorables. And this is really the only response that Democrats have to an overwhelming amount of support. They've got to marginalize their people away from MAGA supporters and call them names and call them racist, sexist, and all these other things, which of course are not true. But it doesn't matter, because those are trigger words, and nobody wants to be on the side of those things, right? You don't want to be on the side of someone who supports someone who does those things, right? And that has just become their main tactic in the media, because they really don't have much else of a response to it. What can they say? Okay, so a Republican candidate, Donald Trump, the most hated Republican candidate of all time, comes to the Bronx, a deep blue liberal stronghold, and he pulls a crowd of, let's say, just, small estimates, 15,000 people. I mean, come on, that's pretty embarrassing. But what do you guys think of all this? What do you guys think about the Trump rally in the Bronx? Did you watch it? What did you think of what went on there? What did you think of when Donald Trump pulled up those two rappers onto the stage, and that one rapper, what was his name? Sleepy Hollow. It was Chef G in Sleepy Hollow, but that one rapper, Sleepy Hollow, he leans forward to the podium and he says, "Make America great again." I was like, man, that is so cool right there. Donald Trump, he is an icon, and he continues to be an icon. He's been an icon for a really long time, but in his 70s, he's still holding it down. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.